My dear friends, if you have gone through newspaper headlines or news channels, you might have heard of some cyclones, the name of some cyclones that have recently struck the coastal regions of our country. Right. These are cyclones like Yas, Amphan, Tokte, etc. were the names of cyclones that have recently struck the coastal regions of our country. Right. Now, there is obvious curiosity among many of us about some of the basic questions that have erupted in our mind, and these are like, why are cyclones named, or what is the need for naming cyclone, or like how are the cyclones named, or is there any criteria or any established mechanism for naming these cyclones, or who names this cyclone, is there any like organization authorized for naming cyclone. So in this video we will try to analyze and understand three basic questions that we have just mentioned. Okay, we will be able to understand the answers of all these questions in a crystal clear way. Okay, so welcome, and now let's begin. So the first question in front of you is, why are cyclones named? This can be understood from very basic question, that why do we need something, why do we name a person, why do we name a place or something. This is probably because names are very easy to remember in comparison to any number or any technical word. So what happened earlier, that scientists use a very cumbersome process. Scientists were engaged in naming cyclones, but that naming was not like any simple word made up of 4 or 5 letters, but these were basically technical terms. For example, if a cyclone is developing over Arabian Sea area, okay, they will name it according to its longitudinal position and latitudinal position. Okay, like 65 degree east and then 10 degree north. So this is easy for scientists to understand, for geologists to understand, but it is not easy for media to report, and particularly for aam admi, for the persons for whom these messages are disseminated. They do not understand it, these technical words. Okay, so there was a need felt to name cyclones in as simple words as possible. So usually you will see that cyclones are named in just 5 to 6 letters are there. They are very simple words, not a very very grammatically or very literary works. Okay, they are very simple words which are easy to understand and speak. Okay, so this practice of naming cyclone began basically for quick identification of storms in warning messages. Okay, so that what happened, that if there was a name given to a particular cyclone, so it made it very easier for media to, may it be print media or electronic media or any digital media, to report on tropical cyclones. Now when media finds it very easy to report the tropical cyclones in warning messages, this heightened the interest in warnings of the people, okay, for whom these messages are disseminated. And with this heightened interest in warnings, what happened is that community preparedness level went high, and because of this elevated preparedness level at community level, the devastations and the devastations to, or the destruction to life and property that usually occur, now they had gone down. Particularly if you have witnessed Titli, Titli cyclone in the coast of Odisha, you might have heard that it could have caused a lot of damages, but this was mitigated only because warning system was very robust, and people were evacuated on timely, and people themselves were aware of such developments, and they themselves took some steps to mitigate it. Okay, so basically naming is also very important, particularly when you have to exchange detailed storm information between hundreds of widely scattered stations and coastal vessels, and particularly those ships who are at sea. Okay, there are lots of stations which are, suppose one station is here, one station is here, another station is here, then there are many stations in coastal regions of India as well, and some stations will be there in Thailand and Myanmar and Bangladesh. So suppose if there is a cyclone developing over Bay of Bengal area, all the stations have to report the same development of the same cyclone. Okay, and also not only just to the public but also to the ships that are in the sea. So if there is a simple name, so it's very easy to disseminate knowledge, disseminate this information. But if you have very technical type of very technical type of name of cyclone, it's very difficult to disseminate such information. So why are cyclones named? We have answered this question. Basically it helps scientists, all the stakeholders that are involved, scientists, may be disaster managers who does work on the ground for mitigation and all those things, media who reports this warning message, and the aam aadmi, the general mass. Okay, they help all of them in identifying each individual cyclones. Then it also creates awareness. It's very easy to create awareness of development of any cyclone. Then it also removes confusion in a case when there is two or more cyclones developing in a particular ocean basin. Okay, suppose there are two cyclones that are developing in Bay of Bengal area, and one is going to strike Thailand and then other is going to strike the eastern coast of India. Then if there is no distinctive name to both the cyclones, there can be a lot of confusion. Okay, and if you assign distinctive names to both these cyclones, it will be very easy for people and for the media and for the disaster managers to understand the development and take actions accordingly. Okay, then we also can understand a tropical cyclone easily if we have a name assigned to it. And also the most important thing is that the rapid and effective dissemination of warning, okay, to the wider audience. It becomes very easier if there is a proper name, a very short name to the cyclone that is being talked about. Now the most basic question, the center point of this video is naming of the tropical cyclones, meaning how are the tropical cyclones named. Okay, any cyclones that are developing or formed in any ocean basins around the world are named by regional specialized meteorological centers. This is the organization which is basically responsible for the naming of cyclones that is that are formed in any ocean basins. So for different ocean basins, different regional specialized meteorological centers are responsible, and so there are a total of 6 RSMCs in the world, and Indian Meteorological Department is one of those RSMCs, okay, which is responsible for naming cyclones in the northern Indian basin area. Now what happened is that this naming of cyclonic storms started in 2000 by World Meteorological Organization and United Nations Economic and Social Commission for the Asia Pacific. Right, now how do cyclones are named in this Bay of Bengal area and the Arabian Sea area? Right, what happened is that in 27th annual session of World Meteorological Organization and United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific formed an intergovernmental body, and this intergovernmental body is called Panel on Tropical Cyclones. Now this panel on tropical cyclones was assigned the authority to name the cyclones, assign names to the tropical cyclones in these two basin area, Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea area. Okay, so from 2004 onwards, this whole idea of naming cyclones in the northern Indian Ocean region started. Okay, this panel on tropical cyclone, which was established as an intergovernmental body, at that time comprised of 8 members, and these were Thailand, Myanmar, Bangladesh, India, Sri Lanka, this is Maldives, here is Pakistan, and another was like Oman. These were the 8 members at that particular point of time. What happened at that time, that all these 8 countries used to send list of 8 names to this intergovernmental panel. Now this panel decides which name is to be accepted and which name is not to be accepted. For example, if a name hurts any religious sentiment, that name was struck off and another name was replaced by it. Now if a panel on tropical cyclone ratifies the list of names, then it is sent to the regional meteorological centers that is there, and IMD is responsible for naming cyclones in this Indian Ocean region. So these 8 members send 8 list of 8 names each, and so there were a list of 64 names for panel on tropical cyclones. Okay, what happened in 2018 was that 5 new members were added to this panel on tropical cyclone, and these were Iran, these were Saudi Arabia, Yemen, UAE and Qatar. Okay, so these were the 5 countries which were added. Now since there are a total of 13 countries in this panel on tropical cyclones, so each of them send a list of 13 names to panel on tropical cyclones. Now after panel on tropical cyclones finally decides which names is to be accepted and which names to be struck off. So after all, there is 169 names that is finalized by panel on tropical cyclones, and that is sent to Indian Meteorological Department, which is the regional specialized meteorological center which is responsible for naming cyclones in the northern Indian Ocean region basin on behalf of panel on tropical cyclone. Okay, so what happens is that Indian Meteorological Department names a cyclone as and when it develops either in Arabian Sea area or the Bay of Bengal area on behalf of panel on tropical cyclones among the names that have been given to it by the PTC, right? So in April 2020, in a recent development, IMD had recently released 169 cyclone names, and these were basically the list of 13 names by each member country, that becomes 169. Okay, so IMD basically names any cyclone that is developing in either of this area or this area from the list of these names. Okay, so this was the basic mechanism of naming Indian cyclone. Hope you have understood this point very well, and if you have any confusion with regard to it, you can always comment in comment box, and I will be there to answer your confusion or any query that is there. Okay, thank you.